The sun was bleeding crimson across the Wyoming horizon, painting my ranch in hues of fire and shadow. I stood on the porch, the creak of old wood under my boots a familiar hymn, the kind that grounds a man after 60 years of dust and dreams. My hands, calloused from decades of roping cattle and mending fences, gripped the railing. The air smelled of sagebrush and impending rain, sharp and clean. Then I heard Ida's sharp, nasal voice cutting through the evening's peace like a butcher's knife. You can't keep that junk heap on your property. It's an eyesore. Karen. Again. Her silhouette stormed across the gravel road, phone in hand, her blonde bob bouncing like a warning flag. She was from the new HOA across the county line, a gated community of cookie-cutter houses that had sprouted up like weeds 5 years ago. My ranch. It's been here since my granddaddy's granddaddy drove his first herd across this valley. No HOA. No rules but my own. She stopped at the edge of my property, her heels sinking into the dirt, pointing at the rusted '67 Chevy pickup parked near my barn. It wasn't much to look at, sure, but that truck had carried my wife, Ellie, to our wedding, hauled hay through blizzards, and sat loyal through every storm life threw at us. Ellie's been gone 3 years now, and that truck's all I've got left of her laugh. Her perfume still faint on the cracked leather seats. Karen didn't know that. Didn't care. I've called the sheriff. She barked, waving her phone like a gavel. You're violating code. My jaw tightened, a slow burn rising in my chest. Code. This was my land. My life. Who was she to dictate what belonged here? I leaned forward, my voice low but steady. Ma'am, this ranch ain't under your HOA. Never has been. You're wasting your breath. Her eyes narrowed, lips pursed like she'd bitten a lemon. We'll see about that. She snapped, turning on her heel, her footsteps crunching back to her pristine SUV. The engine roared to life, and she was gone, leaving a cloud of dust and a bad taste in my mouth. I sighed, long and heavy, the kind of sigh that carries the weight of too many fights. I wasn't looking for trouble, but trouble had a way of finding me. The next morning, I was out by the corral, the smell of fresh hay and horse sweat filling the air, when a patrol car rolled up. Sheriff Dan Carter stepped out, his boots kicking up little puffs of dirt. Dan and I went back decades high school football, beers at the Rusty Spur, the time we pulled his truck out of a ditch during a snowstorm. He tipped his hat, his face caught between duty and apology. Mornin', Tom, he said, scratching the back of his neck. Got a complaint about that truck of yours. HOA says it's a nuisance. I laughed, short and bitter, the sound swallowed by the vastness of the open land. Dan, you know damn well my ranch ain't part of their fancy club. What's this about? He shrugged, his eyes avoiding mine. Karen filed a formal complaint. Says it's lowering property values. I gotta follow up. You know how it is. I didn't answer right away. The wind picked up, rattling the barn's tin roof, and I felt Ellie's absence like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just about a truck. It was about my home, my history, everything I'd fought to keep. That afternoon, I drove into town, the Chevy's engine rumbling like an old friend. The diner was quiet, save for the clink of coffee mugs and the hum of a jukebox playing Willie Nelson. I slid into a booth, and there was Lila, the waitress who'd been serving me coffee since she was 16. Now in her 40s, she had a sharpness to her, a survivor's edge. She poured my coffee, black as midnight, and leaned in. Heard about Karen, she said, her voice low, conspiratorial. She's been harassing half the county with her rules. Did you know she tried to fine old man Jenkins for his rooster crowing too early? I chuckled, but it didn't reach my eyes. Lila's gaze softened. Tom, that truck's more than metal. Don't let her take that from you. Her words hit hard, stirring something fierce in me. I nodded, sipping my coffee, the bitter warmth grounding me. Lila was right. This wasn't just Karen's power trip. It was personal. Days passed, and Karen's campaign escalated. Notices arrived in my mailbox, HOA letters demanding I remove the truck, citing community standards. I burned them in the fire pit, watching the paper curl and blacken, the smoke stinging my eyes. Then came the signs. bright yellow, posted along the road near my ranch. Comply with HOA regulations or face fines. My blood boiled. I tore them down, the paper ripping under my hands. But they kept reappearing, like roaches. One evening, as I sat on the porch, a beer in hand, I heard a new sound: tires on gravel. Slow and deliberate. Not Karen's SUV. A beat-up Toyota rolled up, and out stepped a kid, maybe 20, with a mop of dark hair and a nervous grin. "Mr. Harper," he said, his voice cracking. "I'm Jake. I live in the HOA. I saw what Karen's doing. It ain't right." I raised an eyebrow, setting my beer down. "You here to preach or help, son?" Jake shuffled his feet, glancing over his shoulder like Karen might pop out of the sagebrush. "Help," he said finally. "She's been bullying everyone. My mom's terrified she'll lose our house over some stupid mailbox rule. I know your ranch ain't HOA, but I got something." He pulled out his phone, scrolling to a grainy video. It was Karen, standing in her driveway, yelling at a delivery guy about a package left improperly. Her voice was venomous, her finger jabbing the air. "I'll have you fired. I'll sue." The video cut off, but Jake's eyes gleamed. "There's more. She's been recorded all over the neighborhood. People are fed up." My heart thudded. This kid, this unexpected ally, had just handed me a weapon. Over the next week, Jake became my shadow. He'd sneak over after dark, sharing more videos, more stories. The HOA wasn't just Karen, it was a machine, but she was its loudest cog. She'd find a single mom for her kid's tricycle, threatened an elderly couple over their garden gnomes. The more I heard, the tighter my chest got, like a storm brewing inside me. I wasn't just fighting for my truck anymore. This was about everyone she'd trampled. Jake and I hatched a plan. Simple but bold: expose her. Not just to the sheriff, but to the whole damn county. The town hall meeting was packed, the air thick with tension and the faint smell of stale coffee. I stood in the back, my hat pulled low, Jake beside me, his phone ready. Karen was at the podium, her voice dripping with self-righteous authority as she lectured about upholding standards. The crowd murmured, restless. I gave Jake a nod. He uploaded the compilation, every video, every rant, every cruel word Karen had spewed. The screen behind her flickered, and there she was, larger than life, screaming at the delivery guy, berating neighbors, even mocking a kid for his skateboard. Gasps rippled through the room. Karen's face went white, her mouth frozen mid-sentence. "What is this?" she stammered, her voice shrill. The crowd erupted. Voices shouted, chairs scraped, and an older woman with fire in her eyes stood up. "You've been terrorizing us for years. Karen, enough." The room roared in agreement, a wave of fury and relief. Karen tried to speak, but her words drowned in the tide. Sheriff Dan stepped forward, his face grim. "Ma'am, I think you need to step down." She fled the stage, her heels clicking, her power crumbling like dry dirt underfoot. Outside, the night air was cool, the stars sharp against the black sky. Jake grinned, his shoulders lighter. "We did it, Mr. Harper." I clapped his shoulder, my throat tight. "You did good, kid." Back at the ranch, I sat in the Chevy, the leather creaking under me, Ellie's perfume still lingering, faint but there. The truck wasn't just metal and rust, it was memory, defiance, a life built on my terms. Karen's reign was over, her rules exposed as petty tyranny. The HOA wouldn't vanish, but its grip was weaker now, thanks to a kid with a phone and a spark of courage. I started the engine, the rumble shaking my bones, and drove out to the ridge where Ellie and I used to watch the stars. The wind whispered through the sagebrush, carrying the promise of rain. I didn't need anyone's permission to live free. Neither did anyone else. Sometimes, all it takes is one voice, mine, Jake's. A whole town STO remind the world that some rules are meant to be broken.